and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, the program that will bring you the people behind the news. I'm Maukwe Ogun Yusuf. What a week it's been. The Nigerian military began its cat race exercise in 6 states, including Benue, hoping to restore failing confidence in the citizens. Nigeria falls in Transparency International's ranking, and girls get missing in a government secondary school in Dapchi, Yobe State, in the wake of a Boko Haram attack on the school. Did someone just whisper deja vu? Well, tonight on Hard Copy, I speak to one person who is unhappy with the headlines and government's handling of the Nigerian situation. She's also doing something about it, and it will not be the first time she's done something. Dr. Obi Ezekwesili is the co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls movement, an effort she launched with other women and men after over 200 girls were abducted in a school in Chibok, Borno State. A chartered accountant by training, Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili is co-founder of Transparency International. She's also served as a federal minister who led 2 separate ministries in Nigeria, a former vice president for Africa at the World Bank, a position she held for 5 years, and now founder of the Red Card movement, which she hopes will break the hold of the 2 dominant parties in the country.
It is very feasible, and we're actually making progress. What we're trying to do is to get citizens to take their rightful place in our democracy. The era when citizens are marginal to the political process and simply people used as people who legitimize the worst of 2 choices on the tickets of the dominant parties. That era is over. It is time for us to have better governance in this society. It is time to stop failing. Nigeria needs to claim the 21st century. If we're going to do that, the quality of our leadership would matter.
Who's in on this with you?
Citizens. Just regular citizens. The way it started was pretty organic. For a while now, anyone who has followed my public statements on issues would know that I am very, very disappointed in the governance of the country. I have always been, actually, because while in the season of military rule, I was, at some point I led what was known as concerned professionals, which today would be the equivalent of an Enough is Enough campaign by young people. And when I was in government, my then boss used to say of me, "Were you in my government, who needs a Ganifa Wahimi?" And I would say to him, "Thank you for the compliment, because, that's an idol." And when I left government, I continued to have a voice on issues of governance. And that's because my background, basically, has been that as a professional and one who became one of the youngest co-founders of Transparency International. Issues of governance have always mattered to me. And so I haven't been excited at the fact that we keep losing opportunities that we have to catch up with the rest of our contemporaries in the world as a nation. And so when an occurrence happened on the 3rd of January, yes, a few days into the new year, when there was this gruesome killings in Benue State, and the response of the government was woeful. And following that woeful response, I then was watching the news, and I heard one of the cabinet ministers in government telling us, regaling us with how well the president had done and has done, and how he was going to lead some dynamic group that would campaign for his re-election. On the same day as I was watching, as I was seeing these terrible, the kind of pictures that came out of Benue. And I thought, wow, this is so reminiscent of what happened in 2014. In 2014, no matter what was going on around the country, and then ultimately the abduction of Chibok girls, nobody was paying attention, more or less. Everything was about winning election in 2015. So here we are in 2018. 2019 is the election year, and the same pattern of behavior is repeated. So I simply said, I had enough of this. APC and PDP are the dominant players in our political space. We don't have a political party crisis. I've said this before. We have a political class crisis. And so I said, as a citizen, I'm putting out my red card. And when I put it out, other citizens said they had red cards to put out too.
You say that citizens are in on this with you. Yet 2 weeks after you started your campaign, we saw a letter from your former boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo, saying that there should be coalition of Democrats. You have said it was mere coincidence. I think you tweeted that it was mere coincidence. But some people doubt very strongly that, it was coincidental.
It would be unfortunate for those people, because one thing that anyone can say of me is I have no fear of anybody.
Now, but how do we then...
For goodness sake, wouldn't you consider that as being that perhaps we all feel the same way? And it's a matter of who chooses what time to express theirs. Mine was, I had it coming. I had it coming. And that particular event triggered my saying, I'm giving a red card to our political class. Now, what would you say about Pastor Tunde Bakari? A few days after that, he had this very elaborate statement about the state of the nation. If you follow call-in programs on television, on radio station, if you followed the opinion pages in the newspaper, you would see that there's something. Citizens are sort of, there's something. There's a stirring where citizens are sort of saying, all is not well.